Am I the a-hole for calling out my ex-mother-in-law's infidelity after she keeps calling out my divorce? I, 25 female, am separated from my husband, 26 male, due to cheating on me with several call girls. We have a 1-year-old daughter that he only gets to see on weekends, due to him bringing home girls on days when I was working and he was supposed to be watching our daughter. My ex-mother-in-law is one of those crazy Christians you see on TV. Imagine Carrie's mom if she had a mama's boy son who obeyed her instead. And she fully blames me for the divorce, since if I wasn't such a shameful and sinful woman, he wouldn't have cheated. Due to me being agnostic and raising our daughter away from religion. I only allow her in my house because my former father-in-law is a sweet man who loves his grandchild. He survived cancer a few years back and COVID 2 years ago, and he's just too tired to stand up to her. So I don't blame him when he can't get her to be quiet. Recently, they were visiting my daughter, and once my former father-in-law took her outside, she started on her usual insults. Honestly, I was tired. I had worked a long shift the night before and I was low on sleep. So I just told her she can't judge my divorce, since she forced her husband to stay with her despite being a cheating pig like her son. Welp, I basically set off Hiroshima, and she went full on yelling, grabbed my former father-in-law, and they left. My ex-husband called me later that day about how I called his mother a whore. And honestly, he can't judge as he was one too, which led to me yelling and me just hanging up because I was too tired. Now she's calling everyone, telling people how I insulted her. And while some agree with her that divorce is worse than cheating, others say her infidelity was worse. So am I the a-hole for calling out my ex-mother-in-law cheating after she wouldn't shut up about my divorce? Edit. Father-in-law only stayed with her because she was pregnant with my husband at a time. My ex is not my former father-in-law's biological child, and no test was needed to him being half Asian, while my former in-laws were both Caucasian. He stayed to raise my ex and his daughters. His daughters are his biological kid. They're twins a few years older than me, and both are no contact with their mother. Now for the top comments. Not a-hole, but you should have gone lower. I would have said he learned the cheating from you, so shut up. I don't know. I thought cheating pig was pretty sweet. Lol. Me too. Or something along the lines of birds of a feather flock together type thing. But yes, I thought Opie's response was a classic. Not the a-hole. But honestly, stop inviting her over. If she wants to see the baby, they can see her on dad's time at the weekend. Not the a-hole. Yeah, I'll tell father-in-law that he is always welcome to see his grandchild, but she is not welcome in your home. Maybe see if he wants to leave her. He can move in and be a stay-at-home grandpa. You get support and he gets peace. This is a wonderful idea. The mama's boy can move back with mama. Father-in-law can finally enjoy being a grandpa. And mama gets a live-in, loving friend who cares for her child as much as she does. My ex-mother-in-law tracks my former father-in-law and doesn't allow him anywhere near my child without throwing a huge tantrum. I'm currently just dealing with her until I can collect enough evidence of spousal abuse to help him divorce her. He only stuck around so long due to my ex, so he could have a father. And my sister-in-law, twin older sisters, both are no contact with their mother. My brother-in-law is a lawyer and he helped me with my divorce, and now we're helping my father-in-law. I'm hoping to get full custody of my daughter when she's older. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not letting my daughter miss out on stuff just because her half-sister doesn't get to go? My husband has a daughter from a previous relationship, Maddie, 15 female. Before I even met my husband, Maddie's mother moved abroad, and Maddie decided to go with her. My husband and I have been married for 10 years now, and we have an 8-year-old daughter, Abby. Maddie visits us for the whole summer and 2 weeks in the winter, and we go to her when Abby is on spring break. We obviously save big family trips for when Maddie is with us. Same with any other once-in-a-lifetime event. However, my husband is consistently reluctant to do pretty much anything without Maddie. I try to be patient, but it feels like we can't do anything throughout the year until she gets there. An example, we live near a water park. We have season passes and take Maddie all throughout the summer. But my husband refuses to go until Maddie comes to stay with us. And he doesn't want Abby to go as it's unfair. I've tried discussing this with him, but he won't budge. Sometimes I win him over, but then he complains the entire time that Maddie isn't there. Abby loves Taylor Swift, who was going to be in the area for a limited time and before Maddie would arrive. My mom somehow scored us tickets, and Abby was so excited. My husband said it wasn't fair because Maddie also loves Taylor Swift, and she doesn't get to go. I said I'd take both girls to another concert during the summer, as there's going to be a few other artists that I know Maddie likes in the area. But my husband said it still isn't fair and tried to ban Abby from going. And because I know it will be asked, it's not possible for Maddie to fly out for the concert. She still has school and important exams that can't be missed. I put my foot down and said that life isn't always going to be fair. Maddie lives in another country, so she is going to miss out on things. It's not fair to ask Abby to give up fun opportunities because Maddie can't come. I pointed out that Maddie gets to do fun things with her mom while Abby isn't there, which I think is completely fair. But my husband said that's different because his ex isn't Abby's mom, but he's Maddie's dad. Eventually, he could see I wasn't going to give up and said yes to the concert. My mom, Abby, and I attended and we had a great time. It was Abby's first concert, and she loved it. Now my husband says I bullied him into this, and that if Maddie didn't get to go, Abby shouldn't. Maddie is disappointed she didn't get to go, but seems happy for her sister. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. By your husband's logic, he should object to any fun activity Maddie participates in when she is with her mother because Abby can't go. It's not different. It's the exact same thing. And he is letting his guilt negatively impact your daughter from enjoying her childhood. His daughters live in different countries and have different mothers. The daughter you share doesn't need to miss out because of it. Yes, OP, this is a very easy issue to fix, and I hope you'll have the courage to do it. All you need to say to your husband, Maddie gets to do fun things with her mom alone, so Abby gets to do fun things with me alone. Either accept that, or I'll divorce you. Then I'll be more able to do things with Abby alone, and then you get to choose what's fair to do when you get the girls. I will not sacrifice my child's happiness for you. And honestly, you shouldn't sacrifice your child's happiness over his guilty consciousness. Not the a-hole. The longer this behavior continues, Abby will start to feel Maddie is more important to their dad. He's trying so hard to make sure Maddie doesn't miss out that he's making Abby miss out. Maddie has her life with her mom, plus her life with her dad. And what? Abby is supposed to sit around and put parts of her life on hold? Missing out on experiences and chances to learn and grow in the meantime? I don't think so. Your husband needs to reassess how he's handling things, or this could really harm Abby's future relationship with both him and her sister. OP, this comment needs to be seen by your husband. Abby is going to question the dynamic soon enough, if not already thinking about it, and it may cause friction when Abby's older. Not the a-hole, but your husband is. Not the a-hole. Just like Maddie does things with her mother, feel free to do things with Abby as her mother. Whether your husband chooses to join or not is up to him. Your life should not be on pause, just because Maddie lives somewhere else the rest of the time. This is a great point. Does he try to make sure Maddie doesn't have fun unless Abby's there? His logic doesn't logic. Based on your post, if Maddie moved with her mother before you even met, and Abby's 8, that means Maddie was 6 or younger when she left. That was not her decision. A, she wasn't old enough for any family court to take that into consideration. B, based on your spelling and the content of your post, you're American, and she cannot have legally left without your husband's specific approval. Sounds like he's trying to make up his own parental guilt and has inadvertently wound up punishing you and your daughter in the process. Not the a-hole, of course. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my wife to mind her own business? My wife, 37 female, and I, 38 male, moved to a new neighborhood about 3 years ago with our 2 kids, 8 and 6. Our neighbors across the street have 2 kids, 9 and 7, that our kids quickly became friends with. We would hang out with the parents as well, and my wife became close friends with the mom. The dad and I got along fine, but never as close as my wife and the mother. Unfortunately, about a year ago, the parents separated and the mom filed for divorce. Apparently, the dad had an affair. The mom moved out as the house was owned by the dad before they got married, and she took the kids with her. According to my wife, the mom tried to get full custody of the kids, but the dad asked for and was granted partial custody. So, he has the kids 3 weekends a month. The rest of the time they stay with their mom. I've only very briefly talked with the dad about the whole thing, as he obviously feels a lot of shame about the affair, and we aren't close enough for me to feel I can ask deep questions about it. The kids all still play together when they can. I noticed my wife would make it a point to make sure our kids invite them over to our house. I also noticed that my wife was asking neighbor kids some pretty odd and honestly rather intrusive questions about their dad. Like if he has friends over at his house when they are there, what he feeds them, what rules he has at home, or do they feel safe there, etc. This past weekend, the kids were at our house and stayed over for dinner, and my wife asked the kids if they like hanging out with their dad or mom more. I cut in before the kids could answer and changed the subject to watching a movie after dinner. As my wife and I were cleaning up, I asked her what the hell all the questions are about. She said that her friend is still trying to get full custody of their kids, and she asked my wife if she would keep an eye out for anything that she could use to build a case against the dad. I was shocked. I told her that's none of our business, and she needs to stay out of it. I told her it seems like her friend is still upset about the affair and is using that anger as justification to try and take the kids away from their father. I told her that neither of us have ever seen a single thing to indicate that this guy is a bad father. Sure, he had an affair, and that makes him a bad husband, but that has zero influence on his ability to be a good, loving father. I told her what her friend asked her to do was gross, and the fact that she's going along with it is something that I strongly disagree with. I told her she needs to mind her own business. She said she's just trying to look out for her friend, and she's trying to make sure the kids end up in a situation that is best for them. I told her that essentially spying on our neighbor is not her responsibility, and she's definitely in the wrong for asking the kids the kind of questions she does. She feels she's completely justified, but I do not. Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. Putting the kids in the middle and using them as a weapon to hurt the father is not what's best for them, even if he is a jerk. My father did this to me when my mother divorced him. It was not appropriate for a child. I'm now 66, and it still bothers me. This post really bothers me. If your wife cares for these kids, she will make your home a safe place for them instead of an interrogation room. I agree. The only thing that really matters is how the kids feel, and they need to feel safe above all else. I was constantly involved in adult conversations when my parents divorced. Opie's not the a-hole, but his wife may be. Not the a-hole. Your wife is way out of line. And more importantly, doesn't see that she's way out of line. OP, you realize that if you two ever got divorced, this is the level of viciousness she considers pretty normal. Not the a-hole, and her friend is wasting her time. Custody has been granted, and it sounds like there was a full fight and legal ruling by a judge, as mom tried to get full custody and dad was granted 3 weeks. In most places in the US, unless there is a substantial change of circumstances, you can't just get back in front of the judge for a redo. She could be appealing, but unusual. In fact, her having your wife interrogate the kids is most likely against the parenting agreement/ruling. She could help lose her friend time if the father can prove the continued violations of the agreement, badgering the kids for info. Last story. Am I the a-hole for not telling my family they wouldn't get anything of my grandpa's inheritance and doing as I see fit with it? My grandpa had stage 4 lumbar cancer and was in hospice care for the last weeks of his life. My family was mostly not involved to hostile during this. Anyways, we found our grandpa had cancer 2 years ago, and my family started to act like lunatics, but not in the way of concerned family members, but like performative a-holes. The only ones really caring were my cousins and I. You know the movies Knives Out? Like that. Every conversation, they brought up the will and asked him to give them their share as to avoid paying inheritance tax. Then, when the cancer progressed, he said he didn't want interventions and just wanted to live his last months in peace. But because there had not been any adjustments to the will, my family was pushing for a court order for further treatment. While that was happening, my aunt moved herself into the house. My cousin later told me it was so she could make claims on it after he was gone. She is not a medical professional, but she made him go keto and paleo, and he was too weak to fight her on that. So, my cousins and I started to go over and take him out. But instead of taking him to the park, we would take him to the horses, cinema, pubs, etc. Basically, he had a bucket list, and we would sneak him out to do that. We would also sneak in foods he wanted. And the night before he went to hospice care, we shared a few glasses of whiskey with him and a cigar. That night, he told us we were the sole inheritors of his estate, with our oldest cousin being the executor of it. And he asked us to not say anything, that he just needed us to sign something. He passed away a week after. And when our parents got wind of the situation and that they had only been given $5,000 each, all hell broke loose. Our parents are really mad at us. They have kicked us out and are saying that they are going to cut off contact if we don't do the right thing and give them what's theirs. Are we the a-holes for not telling them about anything and not giving them their share? Edit. Please stop giving me legal advice. We have a lawyer. This is not a question about legality but morality. This is way beyond the pay grade of this sub. You need a lawyer. Not really. It's a question about morality. What morals? Sounds more like entitlement on the part of his children to me. Your grandfather wanted his money to benefit the relatives who really cared for him, which is obviously his grandchildren, not his children. That was his right. There was a post here from a man who helped his friend care for his grandpa almost every single day for quite a while. Turned out the old man had a point system, keeping track of how often his various relatives visited him and helped him out. So when the will was read, the friend got the bulk of the estate. Opie got a sizable amount, and everyone else got a pittance, as they deserved. Your relatives don't deserve a share other than what was left to them either. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole, not even a little, but the rest of the vultures sure are. Live your life free from them, knowing that you have the means to do it. They don't deserve another thought from you. You are not the a-hole, and it is so sad that family acts like this. Look, if you did give them something other than what the will gave, you are not honoring the wishes of your granddad. It was his estate, and he decided how it was to be divided. Honor him and do not give in to greedy family. They suck.